Okie dokie.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Captain Hook Podcast, Episode 8, where we will be discussing Once Upon a Time, Season 7, Episodes 7 and 8. 7 being Eloise Gardner, and 8, Pretty in Blue. This was a back-to-back airing. It was 2 hours long, so this podcast might be a little bit longer than you would have expected because we have a ton of stuff to talk about. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
lots of information was learned in those 2 episodes. Lots of things happened, very important things. So, without further ado, let me introduce the people that are podcasting with me. Yep.
Hello, I'm Pip. Pirate Hero Killian on Tumblr and Pirate Hero Jones on Twitter. I haven't been here for 3 weeks because I've been off doing things like going to see Colin in Burbank. So I'm finally back, and I'm really, really excited to talk about last night's episodes because I love them very much. All questionable content aside.
Hi, I'm Ro, and Jenny Jingston Handshot read it first on Tumblr.
And I am Lisa. I am You Brought Me Home and Captain Swan Podcast on Tumblr. Now, before we even get into this, I don't want to waste any breath on negativity, but the few questions that I did get were mostly aimed. I got 2 questions before the episodes even aired, and it was mostly because we didn't know who the person was or if Rapunzel was even going to be the mother of Hook's child yet, but a lot of people were upset that she wasn't Emma, so I got 2 questions having to do with that. And then after the episodes aired, I got more questions having to do with the content of certain scenes in episode 7. Now, all joking aside, I think we can all agree that what was done to Hook was not right. We all know this. It's not the first time that the show has gone down this particular road. This happened with Graham and Regina. This has happened with Marion or Zelena and Robin. This is not the first time. But there are differences between each occurrence. And before I start, I'm going to read, let's see. Hooked on Life for Killing 87 asks, what are your thoughts on what happened with Wish, Hook, and Rapunzel, the witch? Do you feel like it is similar to what happened with Robin and Zelena? And how do you think Hook and Alice's story will continue on now that Rogers thinks he has found the girl he was looking for? And Anonymous asks, I may have actually considered coming back and supporting the show again if I was not disgusted by Bridget and the others, Bridget being Bridget Hales, who was one of the writers, outright the dismissal of the scene. I get Gothel's horrific, but they couldn't even on Twitter, when they were being bombarded, admit that it was rape. They never used the words, and that is such a huge problem, especially on today's social climate. But for me, it just brought me back to when people brushed off what happened to me, and it hurt me, so thank you once, but I'm done. And next question from Anonymous. My question is, are you guys still watching after that episode? I've seen so many people tonight say that they're done, and rightfully so, myself included. For me, it was the mindset that they've done this on 3 occasions, and they never learn. 3 strikes and you're out, especially for me, who was shaken when it happened, because it reminded me of what happened to me a couple of years back. Now, I'm not going to get into like this person's own personal stuff. Obviously, they have reasons for being triggered by whatever happened, and that's their own thing. I think the reason that some people on one side are a little more accepting of it than the others who aren't is because you can't really make comparisons. With Zelena and Robin, she literally murdered the man's wife, took her place, and then had sex with him under false pretenses, which wound up conceiving a child. She did more than just rape the man. She murdered his wife and did a lot of other horrible things. Mother Gothel, I know this sounds bad, but Killian wasn't exactly an unwilling participant. Yes, she was disguised as somebody else. I get that. The pretense was wrong, and what she did was wrong. I'm not saying, please, before y'all blast me now, I'm not saying that what she did was right. It wasn't. But if we're comparing apples to oranges here, I mean, yeah, he was pissed off for being lied to, but I don't think it like really was as bad as people kind of make it out to seem. And the bigger issue with Zelena and Regina doing what they did was the fact that after it happened, they suddenly seemed to be redeemed and absolved of all of the wrongdoing. Zelena especially, after what she had done, it was like, oh, because she has the baby, boom, it'll be as if it never even happened. Whereas with Mother Gothel, the rape that she did with him served a purpose. It was obvious that she did not care what she had to do to get out of that tower. She was willing to leave that child to die.
That is so
Killian to stay.
evil.
She thought
So
Killian
evil.
was going to leave too. So she obviously didn't care. This woman is evil. I honestly thought that Drusilla was the big bad. I was definitely wrong. This bitch is cray. Like, she doesn't give a shit.
Well, for me, I think that both Gothel and Drusilla are the big bitches of the season, at least for me. And how could she? How the way she tricked him in making and helping him and like seducing him so she can have this baby so she can get out of the tower was so hardcore evil. And to even abandon this child to to die, and that was even ugh, I hate her. I hate her. Goku is like so freaking evil.
Yep.
Like praise Emma Booth for making this happen. I thought she was gonna be boring, but now she's really interesting and I like it.
I the point is, we're not supposed to like what happened. We're supposed to hate this, and we're supposed to hate this character. And they kept establishing that throughout the rest of the episode, that throughout the rest of 707 and 708, they kept establishing that this character is not good. She does evil things for her own gain, and you're not supposed to like it. So being angry that she did this to Killian is exactly what's supposed to happen. You're supposed to hate her. Regina says she's not good. Rumpel says she's not good. Everyone but Drizella, being, the idiot that she kind of, because she's kind of not an idiot, but she's kind of naive in her evilness. And obviously Rogers doesn't know who this person is, so he is completely naive and unaware. But everybody else is like, this woman can't be out here. So she's bad. She's worse than wicked, obviously, because Zelena would be wicked, but she's like nasty. She's like on a whole new scale nasty. So the fact that she did this isn't being glorified, it's being vilified, like the way it should be. We're not supposed to like this. And to people saying that Bridget didn't say anything about it, she did say something about it. She said, this character is evil, she did something evil, it will be addressed. So people need to look at this in the context of what happened. It's not as black and white as it's coming off across. And again, that's not a defense of what they chose to do. It is a tired plot device that happens a lot, but you can't change the fact that they used it. And if you want to stop watching for whatever reason, especially if it's triggering to you or it upsets you in a personal way, I encourage you to stop watching. Don't continue watching if it's going to make you upset and it's going to cause you mental hardship. But to everyone else, especially the people that were already saying they weren't watching, you're just bitching to bitch. And and I'm tired of it, honestly. I'm tired of seeing it. So y'all need to just chill out.
I just think that it was very wrong what Gothel did to Wish Hook. It was very nasty, and I hate her. I was just praising how great actress Emma Booth is doing the role. I'm not praising. I really hate Gothel. I don't like her. And also, I'm very curious to see who is Rapunzel. Is she alive? Is she in the new Enchanted Forest, or is she in her Hyperion Heights cursed?
Pretty sure it's Tremaine. Pretty sure it's Tremaine.
Yeah, and also, Did anyone like the whole reveal that Nathan Parsons' character is not Neil nor Roland, but Jack, the male version of that in New Enchanted Four is Jack, not the chick version who was the girlfriend of Charming's brother.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of suspected it wasn't gonna. My head, obviously the three theories around. I really wasn't invested either way. I was like, I wanted to be Neil, and if it tells me up until the point that it tells me it's not, I'm gonna go with that. But the fact that I also said it could be Roland and it could be somebody that we've never met before, and the fact that it is someone we never met before doesn't bother me at all. I'm kind of like, okay, that happened.
I just don't think anything can compare to the trauma that Graham experienced at Regina's hand, but that just seems to be completely ignored because what happened in season 1 to him was horrific, but after he died, it's like a non-issue now, and she doesn't talk about it to anybody. She doesn't seem to feel any remorse for it. And I just think that this particular way of deception, how a man is deceived like that, just can't compare.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If this turns into a Regina, Selena, and Robin 2.0 thing, I'm gonna lose my shit.
I don't
It's
think it's
not.
going
It's
to.
not. There's no comparison because with what Zelina did was just not just wretched but horrid, and she never paid a price. She actually got a child out of the whole deal, and she doesn't even have to worry about the baby daddy
No.
because the baby daddy's dead. So really, she
doesn't have a
never paid
boyfriend.
for that, and excuse me, and Regina never had to pay for what she did to Graham. Emma still doesn't even know the whole fucking truth.
I know.
And she probably never will. Now, Gothel, on the other hand, the way that was shown, there is no doubt that this chick is evil. And
Yeah.
she will pay for it.
Yep.
Because they will take her down at the end of this year, they will take her the fuck down.
Yep, that's what they're building to. They're building up to, like they did with Fiona last season, and they're building up to the fact that she's the bad guy here. This is the bad guy that we weren't seeing yet, and now we understand why she is so bad. And now that she's out, she's gonna, cause more trouble and more badness, and it's gonna get to the point where this is who they're fighting. It's gonna be maybe Drizella against her, maybe Drizella is gonna be turned back to good. I don't know. We can't. That remains to be seen. But Gothel is the big bad this season.
You mean in this story, Gothel is the Rumple and Drusilla is the Regina?
I
mean,
guess you could
I don't
say.
know. The best comparison to any other villain they've had on the show is Gothel is the Peter Pan of this season.
Oh dear.
That's what she is that level of evil. Or Cruella was also that level of evil. They were bad, and they knew they were bad, and they were gonna do bad things, and they didn't give a shit about it. So
I mean, look, when Hook confronted Victoria Belfry in the warehouse where she was holding the witch, even Victoria Belfry herself, she not only said this to Hook, but she also said it to Ivy when she realized that Ivy had been up there and that she, was scheming. When Hook put when Rogers put the handcuffs on her and let her out of there and rescued Eloise Gardner, quote unquote, who is actually Gothel, she looked straight at him and said, "You have no idea what you have let loose."
Yep.
And Victoria isn't exactly a nice person. She's a badass bitch too.
Yep.
She's a horrible person, yet she's telling them, you might not want to let her go.
When you've got all these people who have done all these bad things, like I said, Regina, Rumple, and Belfry, when you got all these people going, this chick is bad, she's bad.
The other frustrating thing is, with all the people that went nuts with the whole rape thing, just as many people probably the same ones were also saying things like, how do you do it? Because I myself, I can't stomach the thought of any killing with anyone but Emma. CS chemistry was so special and cannot in any way be duplicated or repeated. Colin is a good actor, but he's never had chemistry with anyone more than he has with Jennifer. So any pairing that Wishhook has with someone will be very tough for me to swallow and hard to sell after the beautiful love story and chemistry of CS the last 4 or 5 seasons. And that's why I feel any pairing with Wishhook is going to be received very differently from Captain Swan. Probably, dare I say, negatively, it will be hated on the same level of Golden Queen. I feel because even if he's a different Hook, they've done nothing to convince us of that. He looks the same. Changing a small scar does nothing. I can't watch this Friday's episode in the fears that what made CS so special and amazing will be destroyed by potential forced love interest. She's giving us props for the fact that we're willing to watch this. I'm like, okay, the same people that are bitching for Storm about, oh my God, I can't see him with anybody that isn't Emma Swan. Now that he wasn't with, like, he's not in a quote unquote romantic relationship. It was just a one night stand type thing. They're just as mad that he was raped by deception, which they have every right to be. But the point is that they're not going to be satisfied. They're not going to like him being with somebody else. And then when he is, they don't like that he was deceived to be with that person. So it's like, you guys are not going to be satisfied no matter what happens.
They're trying. You can't have it both ways. Either you're here to say you don't care about this Killian, that there's not enough about him that's different that can make you like him separately from the original and separate him from Captain Swan and all that stuff. And then he goes and gets raped, and now you want to try and defend him? It's like, okay, which side are you picking here? Do you not like him or do you like him? Like, to be fair, you don't have to like the character to be mad that he was raped. But the way that people are acting, they're acting like Killian Jones, that they've loved for 6 seasons, just got raped. They're not acting like Rogers got raped.
Well, he's not. Well, it's like the Phantom forgets that he's not the real Hook.
He is the real Hook. He's just not the original Hook.
Exactly. I mean, the only thing that I was pitching about besides the rape thing is that they didn't show Captain Swan have sexy times in season 6. Now they're giving us this bullshit, and that's bitter. So that's me.
No, okay, I have to disagree with that because all these people that are sitting here saying that we didn't get a Captain Swan sex scene are also now saying that this show is a family show and how dare they show rape on the show. It's just like, well, do you want a sex scene or do you want, them to not show anything? You can't have it both ways.
You can't have your cake and eat it too. I mean,
Exactly.
The closest we got was them on the couch doing whatever they were, and then in the kitchen with the pancake thing.
Yeah, the kitchen table.
I mean, what else do you want? Do you want him to strip her naked and throw her on the fucking table and have his way with her?
And to be fair, there was no actual sex scene for Gothel and Killian last night. They showed her kissing him, which has happened a million times over with Emma, so that's no different. You got all of that more with Emma than you did with this. And then they showed him getting out of the bed the next morning. There was no actual sex scene.
And they kissed, and then it went straight to the next day. So
yeah, you didn't get anything sort of like that. Even Snowing had more than that in their implied sex scene. So
Jesus, even freaking Rumple and Zelina had more than that.
Outlaw Queen was fucking making out in her vault, and she was so just like this is a moment where the fans that got the most on the show in terms of what ships got what are acting like entitled brats.
That wasn't the only thing that people were acting entitled about, to be honest with you. Every other tweet was, why can't we see Hook with the Captain Swan baby? Why do we have to see fake Hook with fake baby? And we demand this, and we demand to see Emma, and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, how did you guys become so entitled that used to shit all over the Swan Queeners for acting like entitled brats? And now that Swan has their happy ending, which you were so worried about, they're happy, they're fine. Now you're going crazy saying that it's not enough?
Yeah,
What can they possibly do? That's not the point of this season. That is not the point of the current storyline. It's just not going to happen. Period.
it's impossible to happen because Jennifer Morrison left. So what do you want from them?
And for them to say, well, we're probably never going to see her again. We're never going to get to see the Captain Swan baby. Says who? If this show, at the end of this season, if this is it, do not assume that Jennifer wouldn't pop up in the very last episode. Do not assume that, because I have to believe that after everything Henry has gone through, trying to get daughter back, when their family is finally reunited, and considering that 10 years have fucking passed, and he hasn't seen his Storybrooke family in like ever, the first thing he would want to do is go home and see his mother, see his sibling whom he has never met. So do not assume that this is not going to happen. If it does, we probably will not know till very much close to the very end anyway. But like, really, to act that entitled is just infuriating.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I absolutely agree.
We're better than this.
We are better than this. It's embarrassing to watch the way the fandom has dissolved into what it has. And it is embarrassing because you got to think about like even Snowing fans didn't get the same level of stuff we got, especially in the later seasons. So to see Captain Swan fans out here acting the way they're acting is just, and being terrible to everybody who doesn't agree with them. Adam and Eddie, Colin, the other fans, I saw people on my feed that were hating on Emma Booth and calling her a terrible person. Not Gothel, Emma Booth, the real life person.
Oh my god!
And Colin, I saw tweets and posts on Tumblr, people freaking the fuck out, bashing on Colin and going, "How could he even consent to this storyline? Why did he tell them no? Colin was an asshole. Or why would he do this? Why would he?" I was like,
"Oh fuck!"
First of all, it's not his place. He does not produce the show. He doesn't write the script. He's just the actor. He reads the words on the page and he gets paid the money. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yes, he has some input about what happens to his, about like the overall storyline with his character, but not a whole lot.
You know what? This kind of attitude, this kind of manners is freaking disgusting and freaking immature, and I don't like it. Colin is a human being. He's an actor. He just reads the words in the scripts. He's getting paid. He loves doing this character. This is not his fault, okay? And for you guys to just hate on him and bash on him and be like judgmental and be all mean and nasty and accuse him of stuff, that's not cool. That's fucking nasty, and I'm so ashamed of those who in our fandom are doing this to him when he's not at fault and he's just doing his fucking job. He's a human being. Leave him alone.
Mm-hmm.
Ro, do you have any thoughts? You've been suspiciously quiet.
I don't like talking about fandom negativity, period. It just doesn't help. Like, I try to focus on only the positive things about a current season, and I don't want to dwell on the things we never got with Captain Swan and probably never will. It's where we're at now, and we can't change that. And, I don't particularly like how this happened, but it's not really Colin's fault. He's just doing his job. He's trying to make a living, and I don't see why anyone would fault him for that or take this so personally. And also, in a lesser actor's hands, this story would not be nearly as engaging, but he's taken this new version of Hook and made him someone I want to watch, regardless.
Uh-huh.
Because that's just how good of an actor he is.
I don't think the fans have any idea. Any earthly idea how difficult that it probably was for Colin to have to approach this, knowing that all these core characters were not going to be there, and that they were pretty much like rebooting the entire premise of the show almost from scratch. And it's obvious that they laid a lot of that at his feet to anchor the show, because it wasn't Lana whose face was being put out there. It was Colin's.
Mm-hmm.
At D23, at TCAs, at Comic-Con, everything was Colin. He was literally the anchor that was trying to keep all the fans staying on. And that's a lot of responsibility. And that doesn't even count. That's not even including all the work he personally had to do to develop this new version of an old character that he's already been playing. He had to figure out, okay, how do I play this version of Hook, who's pretty much the same as the old version, only just a little bit different, but still keep him relevant.
Mm-hmm.
All of that responsibility, all that work had to have been just, I can't even imagine it.
Mm-hmm. The fans have developed this certain view of Colin that they are mad isn't being fulfilled. They have put him on a sort of pedestal, and since he's not living up to that, their version of him, they get mad at him. That's what's happening, and that's not fair to him, because he's a person that we don't know. People might have met him several times at conventions and, on set and stuff, and people, all that stuff, but we don't know him. I'm one of the biggest Colin fans around. I've met him once. That's it. I don't know the guy. I adore him, but I don't know him. So it's not fair of me to put any sort of expectations on him. And that is what the fandom keeps doing, and they need to stop doing that.
I mean, okay, I know that actors, as a general rule, don't have a lot of say of the overall storyline and what happens to their characters going forward. I do, however, know that if a scene or something is written and the actor reads it and goes and thinks, you know what, this is something that my character would just never do or never say, that they do have that right to go to the writer or whatever and say, hey, this ain't right. I've seen it happen before. A lot, especially with women who, the idea of men writing stuff where they're burying their bodies when it's not something that the character would do, just for the sake of the actress having no clothes on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's happened. And they allow that freedom on once. Brigitte has talking about that before, where she says she's been writing a scene, and Rebecca Mader came in and said, my character would never say that, and she changed it. So they have the ability to say, I don't like how this story is going. I don't think it's right for my character, and they have some sort of input on this. And Colin isn't this precious puppy, naive idiot that people like to seem to think that he is. He's very smart. He's very intelligent. He understands storytelling really, really well. And I can't say how he feels about this storyline because he hasn't said anything about it, but he could have looked at this and gone, I don't like how this character did this to my character, but I can understand why it went to this point in the story.
I am sure, Colin's a big boy. And I am sure that if he had an issue with this particular plot point, and if he didn't think that it was something that Killian would go for, I'm sure he would tell him, I'm not so sure that this is the right way. Maybe we should come at it from a different approach. However, with what they were saying in the tweets, he should have just said flat out, I'm not doing the scene. That's not in his pay grade. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have the ability to say, I'm not doing the scene. Mm-hmm. He can't do that. He's literally a paid actor. He has to say whatever onto paper that they put in front of him. Mm-hmm. He can make suggestions to fix a couple of the lines, but he can't just outright refuse to do a scene.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
He could get sued.
Mm-hmm.
So, and honestly, that doesn't, for them to go nuts saying why did he agree to do that, that's a disservice to him. I mean, and it's they're disserving themselves more than they're doing a disservice to Colin, because they're acting the way that they're acting, they're getting completely riled up over something that is, it's a fake character on a fake show. It's fucking television, people.
Yep.
It's not real. I know that the situation that he was in does resonate with people. Like some of the people that sent me questions. I do not discount that whatsoever. If that resonates with you or triggers you because you have been through things like that, that is your right to feel that way. Bar none. And if it's too uncomfortable for you to watch, you have every right. Go ahead, turn it off. Whatever. No one's going to hate you for that. But
exactly,
for the people that just don't seem to be satisfied with anything, I can guarantee you almost 100% that the people that send me these questions or that tweet out, make those tweet storms and post all that stuff, haven't actually been watching the show. That they only get what they get from Tumblr blogs or from other people's tweets. They haven't like really seen what's been going on. They don't have the meat. They don't have the context. They just know that, oh my God, he's with someone who isn't Emma. That does such a goddamn disservice to his character, because he is not the other half of Emma Swan. That's not all he is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, that makes me so mad. He is a character in his own right. He is a person in his own right and deserves to be seen as such.
Exactly.
Not just Emma Swan's other half. He's Killian fucking Jones.
Yep. I mean, I agree with that. It upsets me personally that people are kind of discrediting him because he's not with Emma, and so that means he doesn't matter. But if that's their choice, that's fine. I respect that. But stop disrespecting those that aren't seeing it that way, and stop watching the show then. Just stop.
Yeah. Look, and nobody's gonna be a referee and to you guys, okay? Nobody's referee. Nobody's gonna be bad cop here. So if you wanna be bitching about it, don't bitch it here. And if you don't like it, then turn the fucking channel and just watch another new show, okay? And don't not be bitching and be rude to Colin or to Emma Booth or to anybody of the cast or even the writers. Even though the writers were still at fault at this because they should not put the rape thing again like they did with Selena, with Robin, and with Virginia and Graham. So I just think that it just don't watch it if you don't like it. If you can't stand it, you disagree, just don't watch it. But don't be mean and attack people.
And the moral superiority needs to stop too.
Yeah.
That's really, really bad. And thankfully that wasn't what I got a message about last night. It was about disrespecting Captain Swan, so that was a whole different thing. But I've seen a lot of people getting on this morally high horse that this show did this again and how dare they and all this stuff, and it's just like, it's that saying, people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. And I'm sitting there saying, you're shaming this one plot point on this one show for doing this, while sitting there also watching other shows that do this. And I get that Once Upon a Time is supposed to be the positive show, the hopeful show, not the realistic sort of show. But the way it's being portrayed it's still doing it in a hopeful sort of way. What happened was bad. Very, very, very bad. And again, I'm not condoning what happened. But also on the flip side of it, they put it in a way that we know this is bad, but Killian Jones made the best of the situation he was in, and he went back for his daughter. He gave up everything for his daughter. That's where the hope is. So if you're saying, well, this show is supposed to be hopeful, it's right there in front of you. And if you can't see that now, I understand that. And again, people are allowed to feel the way they feel in their spaces and do their thing. And it's just this whole sort of, they have to push their opinions on other people.
Yeah.
The frustrating thing is that they're so stuck on this one plot point that they're not seeing how incredible this episode as a whole really was.
they're not seeing the forest for the trees. That's what's
Like,
happening.
we got so much juicy background. We got information we never thought we'd ever get, and we got to see Colin. Oh my god!
Thing.
Yo, the shit that we could have for videos and gifts in the future. Holy shit! Just with him holding that baby and singing to that baby alone. Oh my god!
Mm-hmm.
Like,
That was so cute.
the juiciness of that stuff. Whoo, Lordy Jesus! Like,
Oh,
I mean,
I have a father and daughter ship name for Alice and in Wishhook, Captain Wonder.
Oh, it's a little too late for that.
It's
Everyone's
Night Rook.
calling it.
It's
Yeah.
Night Rook.
I like Captain Wonder because it's so cute.
I think Night Rook is really cute. It's got a sort of Captain Swan ring to it. I was just like, okay, I'm on board with the Night Rook. That's clever.
Rook. But I really like that scene because it's so cute. It's like Colin was channeling how he is with his two kids, with his daughter and with his son.
He did say that having a daughter this year helped kind of made the story resonate with him more. He said that in the interview that they put out. So it's just like, oh. And then when you find out that the song that he sang to her in the episode was Colin's decision, you're just like, you need to stop.
Yep.
I can't handle you. You're too much for me at times.
As soon as I heard him sing that, my own love said to me, I was like, I know that song because I am a huge Chieftains fan. I've been a Chieftains fan for like 20 years, and one of the albums that they did back in the 90s had Sinead O'Connor singing a version of that song. I actually have that here. And they also had that song on the soundtrack for Michael Collins, which is a Irish film. So yeah. I know that song is a traditional centuries-old Irish ballad. As soon as I heard him sing, I was like, you little shit stain. I know you chose that song. I know you did because it's an Irish song and it's a traditional folk ballad and that was your choice. And I was right.
Yep.
I was right.
Every time this man sings, it's like angels coming out of his mouth.
And then for them, I think they saw the response to Revenge is Gonna Be Mine. And they're like, okay, we got to get him singing in another episode. We have to get this. We have to, because his song for the musical Revenge is Gonna Be Mine had the most views on YouTube out of any of the songs for the musical. So, so they were like, okay, the fans really, really are digging this guy singing for us. We need to get him to sing again, and they did. And it was one of those so many moments in that episode where I was just like floored and just amazed by what was happening. That the singing, the fact that Alice was his daughter, which I screamed, I was so excited. And then I also screamed when he gave the Jolly Roger to Smee. I was just like, oh my god!
Well, if anybody deserves that shit, it was Smee. But I was more excited about that we have waited 6 years to find out his mother's name. Just his mother's name.
Alice.
Let alone anything else. Yeah, and now, because we had literally, he's the only character left that has a parent that we have not yet seen. All the other characters have family that we've seen. Killian only had his father. They never had anything about his mom. So now we know that her name is Alice, and he says that she used to sing the lullaby to him and Liam when they were little, and that she stayed with them as long as she could. So I'm assuming that she died when they were quite young.
Yeah, before Brendan abandoned them.
And then Brandon sold them into slavery and
yeah. I'm just and when he sang the lullaby and then he mentioned his mother, I was like, yes, I knew that some backstory was coming on her this season. I knew it was coming. And then because the fandom's always been kind of speculated about what type of mother she was, to find out that he had one good parent in his life, that it wasn't two shitty parents that kind of set him on this path where he went. He had a good parent, and that it's nice to know that Killian had someone in his life besides Liam when he was younger that truly did love him. And I think Brendan did love him, but Brendan was just so
selfish.
Yeah, he was selfish. So I think it's for him to have a positive influence parental influence was something nice to see finally, and to see it confirmed. It was really.
I just love the scene where Colin, Wish Hook, and Alice hugged. It was so adorable. It was like the best. Besides the scenes with Emma and Henry and Regina and Henry now, this mother and this daughter and father scene was like, oh, so beautiful. I haven't had this scene since season 6 ended with my last Charming Swan scene.
Oh yeah.
David and Emma.
Yeah.
I feel
And,
like whenever go ahead, bro.
I feel like this has been a good continuation of Roger's arc, which started in that second episode when we found out where he came from and what he planned to do in regards to Belfry. I mean, being the one to basically bring her down currently and to find who he thought he was looking for. I mean, it's a good way of keeping things interesting for him. So, I mean, his story is still a factor. He's not just in the background or being a love interest. He's a big part of this season.
Yeah. He's
totally.
a very integral player in all of this. Without obviously Rogers doesn't realize the part that he's playing, and I'm wondering because as we go further into it, like they just released the title episode for 7/14, which is called Nightfall. So we know we're getting another, because obviously that has to be tied to Rogers, to Wish Hook, because it's called Nightfall of all things. We're probably going to get. We haven't gotten so many Killian centric stories in one season.
It's a shame that it had to be when Emma's not around, but
Yeah, I was like, we got 702. We're getting Eloise Gardner. We're gonna get Nightfall. We don't know what's coming after that. He's a key player in all this, and I think that whatever's gonna happen to break this, it's gonna be obviously something to do with him and Alice. They're gonna be involved in some way. I'm kind of wondering because Drusilla mentioned last week about True Love's Kiss and how they needed that to break the curse. But Henry and Drusilla can't do it for whatever reason.
No, just not Henry and Cinderella.
Cinderella, sorry. Curse. Sorry, I said Drusilla. Yeah.
But speaking of that, my theory said, okay, a hero can break this curse. The True Love's Kiss between Cinderella and Henry, if it breaks it, bad things will happen. What if a villain can break this curse? And what if it's and Alice? It could be that.
I don't know. I just think it's interesting that they're kind of really building up this relationship between. Obviously, this Night Rook thing is important to the season, and it's going to be interesting to see how more important it goes as we go along. Because it obviously wasn't necessarily the big reveal. Wasn't just who his daughter was. It's a lot more than that. Because we're not even in the mid-season finale. I mean, the mid-season finale yet, and we've already found out who his daughter is and who the mother is. So this is a lot bigger than we've seen.
I mean, they really let loose with a lot of very juicy information between 7, 8, and even the promo for episode 9 that we got to see that while Gothel was in the tower, that Anastasia was with her. So somehow, I think that Anastasia went to her to make a deal to cement her family's happiness or something, and it went terribly wrong. Something happened that was really bad, and it went wrong. Now,
are you saying that Rapunzel was Anastasia?
No, I don't think so.
I'm fairly certain that Rapunzel is Tremaine. I really do think that Rapunzel is Tremaine. The actresses look alike, and then if you notice that Tremaine in Hyperion Heights has really short hair. So I'm wondering if that's where the whole cut her hair and that sort of thing comes from.
Oh.
This whole season, when you look at both sides, it really does feel like a game of chess. Whereas we thought, I mean, Victoria was the main bad, but she's just a pawn who has just been put to the side now, and it's now down to Gothel and Drizella. So I'm interested in where that goes. That power play. I mean, who's playing who? I mean, who will come out on top? These are interesting villains. It's not the same tired old. Oh, is Rumpel bad again? Is Regina having second thoughts about being good? This is new stuff, and I'm interested in that. Honestly,
Yeah.
It's a very good point.
I am so like I'm just so fascinated by Emma Booth's work because ever since they finished season 3 and they vanquished Pan, it's been a hard time with getting good, juicy villains that weren't static, that were like so evil that you were never sure what they were going to do next. Pan had that. Like every step of Pan's puzzle was a puzzle. The whole thing was a puzzle. You never knew what he was about. You never knew what he was going to do next. Everything was a surprise, and that's what made Robbie Kay's performance so good, and why Pan is generally regarded to be like the best villain of the show, next to maybe Rumpel.
Selena.
But but what Emma Booth has managed to do with Gothel, I'm shocked because Entangled Gothel is such a two-dimensional static character who has no magic, who just only wanted the flower because she wanted to stay young. That was it. Like that was her whole motivation. She didn't care about nothing else. The only reason she kept that child in that tower was because she needed her hair so she could stay young. Other than that, there was nothing else. And she managed to take a two-dimensional character like that and make her so intriguing that you never know what she's going to do next. Like when we realized that Ivy was awake and that she was Drusilla, the way she spoke to Ivy, it felt like she cared about her. So you almost kind of sympathized for Gothel's plight. Like, why is she being held captive like this? And she almost seemed to come off as more of a mother figure to Ivy than her own mother. And now, like, to turn tables, oh my God, she's a ruthless bitch.
Yeah, she even had us fooled, like us that like we like to claim that like, oh, this is so easy to predict. We know where this is going. Like, well, that character was like, I figured she was the witch, but I didn't figure she was like that nasty. And to see how she's been playing everybody, I mean, she's obviously playing Ivy for because Ivy doesn't think she's that bad, so she's obviously playing Ivy too. And everybody else is like, no, 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 don't do that.
I think Gothel gives Rumpel a run for his money because she is freaking evil. And cray. For me, Drusilla is malicious. She's cray, and she gives both Cruella and Selena a run for their money. But I just think for me, the big bad of this season is both Drusilla and Gothel. For me, at least.
I mean, yeah, I agree with that. It's just
the thing is with Drusilla is broken. She's just broken. Her mother hurt her so deeply and so intrinsically that all she can think about is destroying.
She's Regina from season 1.
Yeah, she reminds me very much of Regina, very much of Hook, and that their hearts were broken so thoroughly that all they can think about is revenge against the one
that hurt her,
that did them wrong. Whereas Gothel, like, we don't know her motivations just yet. And it doesn't seem like she has any other than to just she's just an evil bitch. Like, she just does what she does because that's who she is. That makes her infinitely more dangerous.
Mm-hmm. It's just like Pan, just like Cruella.
I'm very curious to see if her backstory in 7B, because I really want to know why she is, or is she just evil just to be evil, or
She
is she
could
evil for
be.
some
I feel
reason?
like just like again, this. I think they're trying to do what they did with Pan and Cruella. Like those were the only two characters I can recall on the show ever that were purely just bad. They didn't care that they were bad. They liked that they were bad. And this character Gothel also seems to enjoy the fact that she's evil. She really enjoys it. She really enjoys when she hurts people. So and it's not coming from, it doesn't feel like it's coming from a place of vengeance. It's coming from a place of, I just want to do this because I can. Same way with Cruella. It was like, I just want to hurt people. I don't care who they are. And it feels like that sort of similar sort of thing. And that, I think that's an important point to look at when you look at what she did to Hook, is she's not good. She's never going to be good. I don't think they're going to try and redeem this character. If we do get a backstory on her, it's going to be similar to what they did with Cruella, where they made her seem, maybe they make her seem like this innocent sort of people. I feel like she's going to dupe somebody like Cruella did to the author. And she's just gonna, I just feel the nastiness of the character, and the fact that she was trying, almost convincing us that she wasn't this bad character that she is. It's a real testament to both the writing and the actress. That
this is why I kind of want to feel bad for for Drusilla, because I feel like she's in a vulnerable state with all this anger, that she's allowing herself to be used.
Mm-hmm.
And this witch is literally using that anger and that desperate need to visit pain upon her mother, to get what she wants out of Drusilla, and Drusilla doesn't even realize that she's being used.
Yeah, and also, and I just think that Drusilla spark needs to be broken. In her the darkness that she put in her heart, I think love will break the darkness of that she put in her heart, just to hurt not only her mother, but also I love her mother mainly, but also to hurt Cinderella, because now that her mother is in prison, she took Cinderella. Now, of course, she has Ivy. She is taking control of the tower, and also she put Lucy in the foster system, so it will make a little bit possible for Cinderella to get her hands on her daughter, to be with her as family. So I'm just saying that Drusilla is not only after her mother mainly, so she's after Cinderella too. So that's the more dynamic I've seen.
No, I don't think Victoria is going to be away for too long.
Oh, no.
Victoria is not the type of person to sit back and feel sorry.
There's so many power players involved now. It's fantastic. It's like you have Rumple's awake, Regina's awake, Ivy's obviously awake. We've got the witch out there. Tremaine's running around out there. You know, we've got Alice, who is a wild card because we don't know when she's going to start remembering again. So
well, if she stops taking her medications.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, she's the wild card. We don't know when and if she's gonna.
And obviously, Rumple is awake, but for some reason, he's keeping that information close to the vest, because Regina tried to talk to him, saying that they needed to work together, but he kept acting like he didn't understand what she was talking about. Yeah, even when she mentioned Belle.
Yeah, and obviously she knew he was lying. She knows that he's awake. She's not dumb, so it says some interesting. It just
Rumple just working on his own to get.
No, I don't think so. Last night kind of showed me I don't think he is, because for the first time ever in the history of the show, Rumple was genuinely concerned about Roger's well-being and was trying to protect him, and that wasn't fake. Because we've seen before where Rumple's begrudgingly helped Hook, but last night he was genuinely trying to help him. There's a piece of this puzzle we haven't seen yet that changed the dynamic between these two characters, and obviously Alice is involved in all this, and I'm thinking somewhere either Hook or Alice is the guardian. And that's why Rumple is trying to protect them. because he's very much trying to protect them.
Because Guardian, this is not. I don't think putting her and putting his purpose in the garden of somebody else is the way to to free himself from his darkness powers. He needs to find another way instead of putting in some certain guardian. His darkness, he needs to find another way, and because. And also, and also, what you just said is very interesting because Rumble will never give 2 shades of shit over Hook because one, Hook made fun of him. Hook stole his wife, and Hook stole his son when his son went to Neverland because of Peter Pan's minions couldn't take him to Japan because he thought him was going to be the one to take him out of Neverland, or for the reason why he won Henry. The thing. And I'm very impressed. I want to see why Rumble's dynamics with this Hook changed. He never cared about Hook. And I was thinking, maybe they became friends. Maybe not.
I just,
I'm interested in that.
I don't know. He just seemed. It just. I was actually really floored by that scene. I was just like, wow. This is. I mean, to be fair, Colin and Bobby have been saying since Comic-Con that this is an entirely different dynamic that they've never played before with Rumple and Killian. So, and we thought maybe that was the curse persona, but maybe not. Maybe they knew where this was going, and they were kind of like they had the general. Obviously, when they were doing it, they were still filming only episode 2 at that point. But maybe they had the general basis. Maybe they've been told there's this going someplace that you've never been before, and this is something completely different for these two characters. So I was just like. I was impressed. I was really impressed with it, and I'm one of the people that loves the antagonism between these two characters. So, and I'm thinking about there was set spoilers from a while back where you have Rogers yelling at Weaver saying, I'm your partner. You need to tell me things, and it's just like, okay, there's something big coming for these two characters too, and I'm kind of this is all connected, and I'm kind of just waiting to see how it all
turns out.
How it all plays out and comes together, and it's exciting.
Danielle, you're not coming through very clearly.
What?
You sound a bit staticky.
Sorry. I'll just do my mic. Okay. Can we all talk about how romantic was the adventure of Henry and Cinderella in Wonderland, please?
That's just what I was going to get to next, actually. Have we said everything we wanted to say about episode 7? Is there anything else that we wanted to discuss before we move on to episode 8?
One more thing. I realized there's one more point we didn't bring up that I really wanted to bring up. Rogers refusing to drink that rum. I was like,
Very good thing.
Thank you. I was like, because when it went to the commercial before that scene came, when he found out that when he'd been told that Eloise had been killed, I was just like, I know where this is going. He's gonna turn back to the bottle. That's gonna be that's his crutch. That's what he's gonna do. He has no reason to stay sober anymore. So, and then when he was on that bench and he had that bottle and he stopped, I cheered because here we go again, Killian Jones proving me right that he's better than he seems.
I felt so horribly bad that he freed this fake person who claims to be somebody that she's not. He doesn't even have any idea because of the curse of who she actually is. But at the same time, the whole episode from beginning to end was kind of a vindication of everything that any Captain Swan and Hook fan has been saying, or has been trying to get people to understand about Hook, in that he was never in it just to get Emma. His ability to change and be a better person, to find his good heart and be the person he was always meant to be, was not just about Emma. He always had that in him. He was always a good person. He just lost his way. And the fact that he risked everything, risked his own life to go back to get this girl out of that tower, whom he didn't really even know. She was a complete stranger to him. And he had no obligation to free her. And yet he went up there anyway to free her. He even probably would have taken her onto his ship. It's obvious that when this man falls, he falls hard. I mean, he was all up in this girl after only knowing her for a day. So it's obvious that when he falls hard. He is a romantic at heart. He is a pure soul. He really is. He just lost that. Like I said, he lost his way
I wish
when
then like Cook existed in the world because he puts in
when
the
his heart was broken. He lost that, and that purity and that love turned to anger and hate and rage.
Yeah. So
This man exists at two very polarizing extremes. That's he may look like his father, but he is his mother's son. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I would almost venture to say that Liam might look like their mother, but his personality, based on what little we know of Brennan, Liam seems to me to be very much more like his father, whereas Killian's all mama's boy.
I think I definitely think you're right about that.
But
And,
it was just a vindication that it was finally proven that he did what he did. He changed. He made that decision to give up his ship, his piracy, his vengeance, everything that he knew for the sake of this little child who had nobody. He chose to be a father because he even said it. He had a more important mission to deal with now than his revenge. So yes, Killian Jones is at heart a good man, and he is capable of finding his way if he meets the right person. In this case, it wasn't a romantic person. It was a child.
Yeah.
His true love.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very similar to Emma and Henry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
I know my only theory about this little girl who may still exist. Either she's remain or either she just exists and she went for help to the resistance of Tiana, and she met Bishop there, and they start to meet and start to fall in love. Or she's ready to remain and
You just keep
remain
asking
she
the
was
person the
young.
same question. Give me a minute to respond.
Or
Doing something. It goes down here. Just put it down over there.
Very intrigued. Can we continue to talk about? Can we start talking about episode 8? Because episode 8.
Well, actually, I was going to say one more thing.
Oh.
The look on poor Tilly's face when her father said he was disappointed.
Oh, it was so.
That was so.
I feel like we brought this up already. I think we brought this up before we started officially, but there's something. Tilly can feel something towards Rogers. She obviously does. She was obviously upset that she was going to have to disappoint him in the park, and then later on when he says that he's disappointed in her, it breaks her heart. And she knows, I think instinctively, that this person is important to her. She doesn't know how.
Yeah, she might not remember that he is her father, but emotionally,
yeah, you can't.
She knows.
You can't. True love like this, magic can't just undo it. And the fact that they've already started to pull back together, despite all the efforts of Tremaine and Gisela and everyone to keep everyone apart, the fact that these two are starting to pull back together is important, I think.
So, episode 8, Pretty in Blue. In this episode, we get some much needed backstory into Cinderella and why she has such an aversion to taking a chance on love. We find out what happened to her parents, or at least what she thinks happens before she finds out the truth later on her Wonderland adventure. And in this episode, she finally regains custody of Lucy, because even though Victoria Belfry was in jail for holding the witch hostage, social services didn't want to give her back to to Jacinda just yet because she had to prove that she was a capable parent. According to Jacinda, when Lucy was a baby, she gave up her parental rights to Victoria because Victoria had convinced her she would be better off if she did. So Regina, even though she obviously doesn't want to, had to use that as a kind of tipping point to convince Jacinda that, if you want social services to see that you're a good mother, then the last thing they're going to want to see is you in a new relationship that's not exactly stable yet. You need to stay single, at least for the time being, so you can get your daughter back, blah, blah, blah. Even though it's breaking Regina's heart to do so, she feels she's doing what she has to, because whatever it was, whoever's heart was poisoned, or whatever the hell it was that Drusilla did to make this curse happen and make it true love proof, it's nasty. I have a feeling she poisoned somebody's heart.
Yeah, I just
And that
think Regina doesn't want to do this, but she's forced to go to protect family.
These two need to go on
breaks her heart.
Put them over there.
It's not
Aiden,
like
get that wrap off and put it down with those jeans.
And speaking of the poisoned heart, we also find out by the reunion between Alice and Hook what happens when they try to touch each other.
Oh, that scene was so heartbreaking.
All right, Papa. Oh,
I know they love each other so much, and you can just tell how good of a father Killian's been to her, and the fact that they can't be together is just it's just amazing how quickly this story sort of shifted into the next sort of gear, because we went from not knowing who his daughter was, maybe theorizing it was Alice, to knowing it was Alice, to immediately knowing about their curse and why it keeps them apart, and the fact that now we have to sit and wait how long it takes for these two to be united for good. And that scene, I was
and at the same time they made up in Hyperion Heights.
Yes.
When he brought the chessboard.
Because Regina remembers everything, so she told him to go to Tilly because she knows. And here we see Regina being protective of Rogers, and it's just kind of a nice sort of it's a shock to the system, sort of, to see these two characters that have sort of always, Rumple and Regina, they've always been sort of either begrudgingly nice to Hook or been sort of antagonistic to him. Suddenly they're the ones protecting him because he's the one that doesn't remember right now. And it's just when she pushed that cake into the trash can.
Yeah. So, question. So, Cook and who caused this curse on their hearts when they thought they can't be together? What? Because you see the green stuff. Having poison his heart and Al's heart when they can be together or something.
How your wrist feels.
I'm assuming it's Gothel.
Yeah, because she trapped them in the tower, and now she's put this curse so they can't be together.
Yeah,
See,
I think she came back. We don't know what happened between the point where Killian stayed with Alice and then was cursed. I think Gothel comes back for whatever reason, and she does this to him because she's obviously still trying to manipulate Rogers in Hyperion Heights.
Yeah, when she baked that cake, I was like, "Don't you dare! Don't you dare!"
Oh,
I don't know if she was trying to poison him to hurt him or poison him because, well, I got a good lay, so I'm not willing to give that up. I think she wants to keep him on side.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Grandma and Regina stuff. Fuck.
She's probably wanting him to eat the cake to make him more pliable to her whims. Because when she brought it to him, she was acting all flirty with the batting eyes, and I was like, no, go away. No.
He is not your sex like girlfriend. He is not your sex like.
The way I see it, when it comes to storytelling, a love interest does not always have to be romantic. Joss Whedon said in season 5 of Buffy that Dawn was Buffy's love interest, and she was her sister. Alice is the only love interest that Rogers needs this season. I'm perfectly fine with him not finding anybody else.
I think they feel the same way. The showrunners, I think they feel the same way because they've made it very clear that Killian, when he knew who she was, didn't want anything to do with Gothel after she revealed herself. So,
but
and
well,
they need to.
And also the scene when Henry and Cinderella were walking in Wonderland and boom, they were trapped in the net. That was very, very very snowing reference because that's similar. Well, it's not technically similar because how the one who was trapped in the net was only snow and the one who set the trap was Charming and also there was a very romantic. Also the scene was very similar to the scene in the Huntsman movie, the Chris Hemsworth, where he and Jessica Chandler are trapped in this net, and they're like very close to each other like that. And in the scene, it was kind of similar because they were about to kiss, and then Henry grabbed his sword and like cut, and his feet fell and they fell on the floor. But it was very similar because it reminded me of that scene in the Huntsman movie.
I mean, I enjoyed the reference to it, but I still feel absolutely no serious feelings towards Henry and Jacinda. I love Henry, and it was nice to get some Jacinda backstory last night, and it made her a little bit more, you can finally sort of identify with the character a little bit more than, some of us could have before, but I still feel absolutely no sort of pull.
Actually, on that vein, this is what I was trying to get to before. On that vein, this was literally the first time in the whole season that I actually started feeling some connection to Jacinda at all. Wow. Because we finally got this precious backstory that we had not had for her. Up until then, we knew that she was distrusting of relationships. It was very hard to be friends with her. She was closed off, but we weren't sure as to why. I know that some people would say, well, Emma was like that too in the beginning. But see, with Emma, we had a certain amount of already intrinsic knowledge as to why she was so standoffish and closed off to the world. She grew up in the system. She had nobody, no family. She was alone and lost. And then she fell in love with this guy who treated her like garbage, and then she lost him, and she had to give up her child, so, and then she went to jail. So yeah, there was a lot that was involved for us to understand that she had a hard life. With Jacinda, we didn't have that backstory yet. We just knew that something obviously went down with her to make her, this averse to not just being in a relationship, but also to even trusting people enough. Because honestly, Sabine is the only real friend that she has, next to maybe, well, Henry now and Rogers. But even in the Enchanted Forest, when she was her real self, she was, I dare I say, prickly in a lot of ways. So once we got this backstory that she believed that her mother had abandoned the family, went off to Wonderland to go through the maze to join a tea party. At first, when I heard this story, I was like, girl, I hope you had this notion when you were a child, because if this is what you believe as an adult, I really have to be like, girl, do you really think that your mama would go to Wonderland and go through that trippy ass maze all for a tea party? Girl. I'm assuming that since the mother left when she was a child, that was probably, that the child's why she believed her mother left. But in trying to find Alice, she realizes that the real reason her mother left was because her heart had been poisoned, and she did what she had to do to protect her family, because if she'd allowed her family to touch her, it would have meant their death. Kind of like what's happening with Rogers and Alice. So that kind of lent her that sympathy, I think, that we were lacking in the beginning, because we couldn't empathize with her. There was nothing to latch onto. We already knew that she was supposed to be with Henry and that she was Lucy's mother, but there was nothing to keep us, wanting. There was no way for us to empathize with her. They weren't making it very easy. Now with this backstory, it's a little bit more easy to empathize. And I'll even admit that when other dude showed up, yes, Nick Parsons' character, his name is Jack. He's obviously this realm's version of Jack and the Beanstalk. Not Roland or anything like that. He's the first friend that Henry made when he first came to, I guess, this other realm. And
seriously though, it's just second-hand embarrassment from that Han Solo reference.
Well, don't forget the Star Wars backpack.
Oh yes, Alice had the backpack.
Well, apparently his cursed persona is not only an attorney, but he's also Lucy's father. So he's kind of the Catherine Nolan of this piece, I guess you could say.
And nobody wants to be the Catherine.
Nobody wants to be the Catherine, right? He seems like a genuinely nice guy. I sense that at least in the Enchanted Forest flashbacks anyway, I sense there might be some issues between the three of them. Now that Henry and Jacinda, or Henry and Ella, I should say, in the Enchanted Forest are something of a thing, I sense there might be some shit going on between them three. But that's only because I know how this show does when it comes to triangles.
Yeah.
Been there, got the t-shirt.
Yeah.
So I would not be surprised. But because if that didn't happen, there'd be no reason to introduce him as the supposed father of Lucy. Yeah. If it didn't make sense for them to be involved in this triangle. But anyway, I found myself kind of sympathizing with Henry, feeling so dejected that he tried to ask her out on a date. At first she said yes, and with Regina meddling in there a little bit because she knows she can't have them kiss or disastrous things will happen, she shuts him down, and then she goes to seek the advice of her ex, who's this lawyer, has a great life and a nice suit and a nice car and great taste in 80s music and used to be a drummer in a band. Fantastic guy. And Henry is just like, and who am I? Failed author. Great. So he goes out of his way to try and impress her by fixing the food truck and putting the fairy lights on and getting the engine to work and doing all these things to try to make her happy. I don't think Jacinda's the type that needs grand gestures. Honestly, I think if you're just a good person, that would be enough. But now maybe you guys don't share the same feeling, but there small little parts of me are starting to get into this Henry Jacinda thing because now they've introduced the opposition party, so I can get into that when you have a third person in the mix. Yeah. When all you're being told is when it's just being forced on you and you already know that's going to happen, it's like, eh. But now when you have the third person in the mix,
that's interesting. That's where the drama starts.
Trouble.
The love triangle just got very interesting. Now it's just Drusilla, Henry, Cinderella, and Jack. Like, it's very interesting because I hope this thing does happen between the whole dynamic between Jack and Henry now the curse, and the pain for Cinderella's affection doesn't happen like kneel and hug again for fighting for the protection of Emma. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I mean, I can't say that they're and Henry are like they're not OTP material. They're nowhere close to being Captain Swan. I mean, no one's ever going to be Captain Swan.
Yeah.
But, they're cute. They're a cute little couple, and I hope that it works out for them.
Yeah, and also that kids.
I'll say that I will safely say now that I ship it. I'm not gonna like make gifts or write fanfic about it. I'm not like that into it. But I get now what some people are.
Yeah, you finally seen
now that I have.
You finally seen it.
Yeah, I finally saw it.
What's the ship name for Henry and Starell again?
Henriella was the one that Jane came up with.
Jane. But I think it should be Cinder Believer because I like it more.
You can call it whatever you want. It doesn't really.
I might call it Cinder Believer because it's more appropriate. And I really like them. Like, what do you guys think about their first kiss after they beat Giselle again?
Honestly, I didn't really catch it the first time. I think I was looking at my phone, to be fair. But when I went back and watched the episode again, I was like, okay, that was a pretty nice kiss there. I gotta admit, I was like, I don't ship it. I was like, I was kiss appreciation. I'll be like, okay, that was a good one. I'll give him that one. Though I do think they stole a book out of their Captain Swan page because they did the whole camera spin around, which was kind of a thing that they started to do with Captain Swan the more they went into the season. In season 6, they kind of did the whole epic sort of camera spin kiss thing for Captain Swan a lot. So that was what it reminded me of the most. And I was like, okay, it was still a good kiss though.
Yeah, and well, that kiss, that part that you were talking about, that also reminds me of the Captain Swan thing, but also reminds me of the snowing thing. The snowing in Captain Swan has a whole twirly kissy thing.
Yeah.
I will say this though, when they opened up the scene with the pair of legs under the truck, the jean-clad legs, and then he started wheeling himself out when Jacinda showed up, I was like so on edge, hoping to God, I was like, please let that be Rogers. Please let that be Rogers. Please let that be right. God damn it.
We didn't mention this. We were talking about 7007, but Roger's car. Oh my God. That dude drives a freaking muscle car because of course he does. I was like, are you kidding me?
Slick, shiny, black. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, you're gonna make me. I already love the character. You don't have to seduce me before him anymore, okay? Like he has that big block engine in there too. I was like, dude, you need to stop. But okay, back to 708.
So
this is why I can't fault Rapunzel, Gothel, whatever. I can't fault her after being stuck in the tower for so long for wanting to get you some, especially when a guy that looks like that comes up through your window.
Yeah.
I mean, shit.
I mean, to be fair, she was gonna sleep with whoever. She was gonna sleep with whoever came through that window. But the fact, I think when Killian came through that window, she's like, "Oh my God, okay, this is gonna be nice."
I don't blame her because that man's a cock piece of ass.
But yeah, and can we mention the fact that Alice fell for a pretty face, because if that isn't the child of Killian Jones, I don't know who is.
Unbelievably trusting.
She was just like a pretty witch or whatever she said, a pretty sorceress or whatever. So I was like, really, you fell for a pretty face too? You're just like your father. I love it.
Normally, Killian is not that trusting, but according to Smee anyway, you tend to have problems when it comes to beautiful women, sir. And the trouble that surely follows. I'm like, well, I guess that confirms that he definitely can give into a pretty face.
Yep.
Killian is dangerously sexy and handsome. Like, you know what? Whoever falls for him are in trouble because this man is dangerously
I don't
sexy
know. I think
and I like it.
it seems to be the other way right now. He falls for them and gets in trouble.
I do want to say this though, for anybody that reads into that line that Smee said about him, you don't have any children that you're aware of, and if anybody wants to say, oh well, that makes him a man whore because obviously he's been going around all the realms stripping all these people, I'm like, okay, we never had any compunction about the fact that he was probably after Meal died, that he was obviously not celibate. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
we know what went on with Tink in Neverland. We know that when he did his supply runs for Pan, that whenever he stopped in the Enchanted Forest, I mean, come on, a man that looks like that, he doesn't have to pay for it. Okay, the women come willingly in more ways than one. Okay.
Anyone will open their legs and will fall in love with this man because he's so cool. He's so charming.
Matter of fact, I don't think this man has ever had to pay for it in his life. Honest to God. So,
The only to be fair, the only time we've known that he's paid a woman was when he paid her not to have sex with him.
Exactly. So
that was original Hulk, and he was still in love with Emma and not over because they were separated.
But you can't fault him for being a human being. He hadn't even met Emma yet.
Yeah.
And he's a pirate. Did you really expect him to be celibate?
He did say he knows his way around women. I mean, he said it.
So we know at the end of episode 8 that Jacinda's mother, Ella's mother, disappeared. She thought it was because that she had run away because she didn't care about them, but when the reality was that her heart was poisoned. And we also know that some part of this curse that Drusilla is wanting to cast has something to do with poisoning hearts, because she attempted to poison Henry's heart. It didn't work out, but there's something to do with heart poisoning that is involved in this curse, whatever it might be. And she's also attempting to awaken her sister, because the whole idea of getting Victoria Belfry thrown in jail was that she could get her hands on the coffin. But when she did, the body was not there. So obviously her mother knew what was coming, and she had the body moved.
Don't you hate it when you open coffins and the body isn't there?
So next week, or not next week, but yes, that reminds you, for everyone who is listening, don't forget, next week is a Thanksgiving. The show will be preempted for a Thanksgiving special. The week after that, December 1st, is the premiere of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So Once Upon a Time will not be on. And then the week after that, December 8th, is when Once Upon a Time comes back for episode 9. So we will not be podcasting for at least 3 weeks until the show comes back. But that promo is going to show the backstory of what happened to Anastasia leading up to her supposed death, and why all this stuff happened having to do with Gothel. I'm guessing. It looked to me like something was going on with the Tremaine family, and Anastasia, being the pure soul she was trying to make her family happy. So she went to Gothel to make a deal, and the deal went bad. Or something.
So, guess that next week is Thanksgiving. I'm thankful for these new characters who I do actually like. I'm thankful for the Rogers and Alice storyline, because I don't think I would be as invested if it wasn't for that. And I'm also thankful for everyone who has come back from our days at the CS Podcast to continue discussing the show with me.
I'm thankful for all you guys and for us podcasting together. I'm thankful for this show that has continuously managed to surprise me. I went into this season thinking this was going to be a shit show because all of our favorite characters weren't there, and And at first, I mean, it was slow going, but I'm glad that I stuck with it, because I have see Hook be redeemed all over. I have a chance to see him with a child, which we've never gotten to see. The relationship between Alice and Tilly is like the best thing in this whole season, bar none. I got to see the incredible acting chops of Adelaide Kane, Emma Booth, all these crazy, incredible actors that they got. All of us were worried that this wasn't going to work out, but it actually worked out a lot better than we expected, I think.
I'm grateful to be continuous to do podcasts of this amazing show. I love and adore, and I'm glad to be doing this with you guys, because I really thought that after the season, the Captain Show podcast was over, I was never gonna get a chance to see those good friends I gained. So I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful because this season I thought I came to the second season like intrigued. And I thought it was, and at least I thought it was gonna be a shit show because Emma wasn't here and the Charmings wasn't here and Zelina wasn't, so I found out she was back. And but and also I'm grateful that the love story between Henry and Cinderella is getting more interesting because it was very rushed and boring at the start. And I'm grateful that nothing happened between Regina and Rumpel and Jesus. I'm grateful for the Alice and Witch Hook relationship. It's so cute. I love it. I want some more. I'm grateful that we have 3 new villains who are just as more dynamic than the ones we had before. And that's Tremaine and Drusilla and Golf. And I'm grateful because I want to see more of this season, and I want to see how it plays out because I'm loving this season. I'm just into it, and I hope these 3 weeks pass fast so we can talk about and we can see the 9th episode. I'm really interested to see about this whole Anastasia and Rapunzel Gothel thing, and also what's that heart-filling truth that Lucy must know, because that's what I want to see.
Pip?
I'm thankful for you guys here at the podcast. I've very much enjoyed talking about the episodes. It's helped bring some things in perspective and helped me get some feelings out about it and feel better about things. And I'm really thankful for that. I'm thankful for this new iteration of the show. I'm thankful for it giving me a version of Killian Jones I never even knew I needed. And when they did, it's a version that I'm absolutely in love with. And I'm thankful for the new characters, especially Alice, best new character in my opinion, and I'm thankful for Colin O'Donoghue for continuing on with this show and bringing Killian Jones to life in a whole new amazing way that I didn't think was possible, and for continuing to do what he does on the show and to do it in a way that just blows me away like every episode. And I'm thankful to the fandom, even with all the drama that goes on and all the badness that goes on. It's still a place where people have a tendency to see the best. A lot of people do, and they'll take the bad and either they'll find a way to accept it, or they'll find a way to turn it into something good for themselves. And I've seen a lot of people go, you know what, it's not, I don't like some of the things that are happening, but I'm still going to choose to enjoy this show because I love this show and I want to continue to love this show and I want to see the positive in this. So I'm gonna do that, and I appreciate the fandom for that because there's not many fandoms that I know that are like that, and I think that makes it kind of unique to the show, and I'm very thankful for that. So, yeah.
Well said.
I'm definitely thankful for Colin and all the hard work he's done to really pull this season together, because I know it could not have been easy. Especially with all of the main characters departing and having all of this responsibility put on his shoulders, not only to keep the old fandom watching, but also to bring in new viewers and also to keep a character relevant. I can't imagine the amount of work he had to do to make this happen, and it's a testimony to his, not only his abilities as an actor, but his incredible strength and his strength as a person, his persistence as a person, his determination as a person. He really is the whole package, and he's worked so hard at it. I honestly think, in a lot of ways, if it wasn't for him and Rose Reynolds, Emma Booth, really coming together and making this happen, it would have been really hard. I don't know what's going to happen at the end of this year. I don't know if this is going to be the final season or not. But if it is, I still say that the show will end well.
Yeah. And I just want to point out that another point about Colin is not only has he done all this work for this new season, and obviously had to create this character in a way, and has been sort of the face of this season and carrying the story in terms of promotion. He's also still been there for the fans. And I know that he was working the night before Burbank, and he flew out, and he only got an hour of sleep before he showed up at Burbank. So, and he was still there for that. So he's been going around the world to see fans on top of doing the promo for this show. And I just want to, he deserves all the props. Seriously.
Yeah,
really
I know.
does.
He said he had flown out at 2:30 in the morning. Poor guy. You could even tell the way he looked. His hair was kind of frazzled, and he looked like he was kind of not all there. I was like, oh, poor guy.
Oh, no, trust me, he was all there. He was just, I mean, maybe not in the gold panel. Maybe he was still, because I wasn't at the gold panel, so maybe he was still sort of tired. But by the time I saw him, his A game was on. I mean, I was one of the first people to get my picture with him for the photo op, and with him and Chris, and he did the thing with the crocodile that he did in my photo op. So he was on his A game by the time I saw him. So
that's just a testament to how he is. I mean, he knows that it wasn't easy for the fans to accept this change, to accept their favorites not being there, and to have to deal with all these new characters and how much the show was going to change. And he could have just said fuck it and not bothered to deal with any of the fans and just told them go fuck off, but he didn't. He's worked so hard to try and get the fans to embrace the direction that the show has gone in, and he, with every concern that they have, whether it was after episode 2 and with Emma leaving, or this current one with this happening to him and him having a baby and all this mess, he has worked every episode to assuage their fears and to comfort them in every single way possible, to make sure that they don't have to worry, that they are heard, and that he does care. You don't get that a lot from actors, but he really is the package deal.
He was so adamant about Captain Swan's happy ending being preserved, even when we didn't know what was going to be happening. And I mean, he was just being as sincere as he could be without giving anything away. He's so genuine.
Definitely is.
He deserves all the Oscars and the Grammys and the Emmys for being such a talented actor and such a great person with his fans.
Yes, he definitely does.
Hell, he deserves to have a star in the Hall Walk of Fame for all I care.
But he's not the only one, because Andrew, Danya, Makia, Emma, Rose, all of them deserve recognition for the fact that I don't think people have any idea, under God, how difficult it is when a strongly established show that's been on for a long time undergoes a massive change, especially in casting, not just storyline, but in casting. And then these new characters, these new actors have to come in and they have to keep the story going when you already have a set fan base that is used to seeing one thing and one thing only. Can you imagine how difficult it was for them to come in, how scary and concerning it was for them, and how stressful it was for them to come into this already established show, this already established fan base, and try to establish these new characters and keep the show going? That couldn't have been easy.
Nope.
And yet they made it work.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a shame that if this is the last season, I think it's a shame because they really should be allowed to continue if their hearts are in it.
Yeah. I would, you know what, I thought about this. I know it was not happening because the old cast member decided with the show, but I know anything could happen in a couple of months. You never know. But if the show has an 8th season and some of the old actors come back for the episode and they kind of change their mind, something, I don't know, or negotiation schedule, whatever, they could easily do a season 8 where the over heroes from Once Upon a Time in Wonderland just come like poof, story when once our heroes are reunited with the rest of the family and they ask for help for this new foe that's coming to their town, following them. And that would be like a segue for season 8. But I want to see. I want to see more of the newbies and see back the oldies too, but the newbies in a new 8th season. I wish they had an 8th season to end this show like bam. Because hell, Game of Thrones is having other series end their shows in the 7th season, but there's some shows like Smallville, for example, that ended their season in the 10th season. And it will be interesting if Once Upon a Time does have an 8th season to end it there. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know how it's going to go. I mean, the ratings being what they are. I mean, there's no telling which way it could go. We were all reasonably like 99% certain last year that season 6 was going to be it. So we were pretty well shocked that they even got this far. So I guess right now we'll just have to wait and see. Because, I mean, even if the show does manage to go on, don't forget that for Colin, for Bobby, and for Lana, at the very least, they would have to renegotiate their contracts because Bobby and Lana's contract was up last year. And they renegotiated in order to stay on. And I don't know if that meant only one more season. I do know that Colin, this is the last year in his contract. So he has an option of leaving at the end of this year when his contract is up or renegotiating. I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know what anybody else is going to do. It all depends on how well the show does overall.
Yeah, if 7B goes better than 7A, maybe they're gonna do season 8 and Colin and Lana. Because I know Bobby after season 7, because his character after season 7, I think Bobby's gonna be done with Once Upon a Time because his character maybe died and go to heaven today with Belle.
Well, that's pretty obvious. His whole purpose is to die so he can be with Belle properly. So I would not be surprised if at the end of this year this is his last.
And also, I still think, and I hope so to God, that if there's a season 8 and they do bring Giles back as Gideon, maybe Giles will take Bobby's part and the spot of his spot in the cast. To if there's a season 8 to he appear, who knows?
I have no idea. Couldn't say.
But I'm very. I became after at the end when I just became a little attached to Giles because not because of the characters yet, but because of his acting. Also, and I'm very interested to see how 7 Big O works out. But I'm now concentrating on the last episodes of 7, 8 because I'm very interested to see what's gonna happen 709 to see what's gonna happen this episode. What because I'm this is what I love about Once Upon a Time. They keep me interested and like attached to the show, like reel me in to see what else is gonna happen. And I'm very interested to see what it is, what is gonna happen. And also, I want to know who is that person where Regina and Henry going to see and bring back to Period Heights that's in San Francisco. Who could that be?
Well, it's
Zelena.
pretty obvious. It's pretty obvious.
It's pretty obvious it's Selena and Robin.
Although I'd like to know why it is that she believes her sister hates her guts. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
It's more puzzle pieces to find and figure out.
I just know that Ro and me are happy that Selena's back in Robin too.
Well, it's nice to have the mystery aspect back on the show. That I feel like there was a lot of that in season one, which made me just love that first season so much. It's not so much about the who or the what, but more the why, and you keep watching for that to know why.
Yes. So, any last thoughts about episode 8, Pretty in Blue? Last
Well,
thoughts?
I'm now shipping Henry and Cinderella. I still think that Drusilla is. I feel bad for her, but I still think she's nasty and she's cray cray and malicious. I'm starting to. I hate Gothel, but I'm loving how Gothel plays her. Even though it was not right for her, even though it was not right for Gothel to rape and trick Killian. I'm very interested. I'm very interested to see more of Jack and the whole quadruple love interest, love triangle. Love triangle is going to happen between Henry, Drusilla, Jack, and Ella. And I like these 2 episodes, and I want to see more.
Last thoughts? Anybody else?
Looking forward to where the season goes from here.
Yep.
Me too. All right, guys. That is all for Eloise Gardner and Pretty in Blue. We will be back in 3 weeks' time. As I said before, next week the show is preempted for a Thanksgiving special. The week after that will be the premiere of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so there will be no Once Upon a Time. So episode 9 will be back December 8th. And then episode 10 will be December 15th, which is the mid-season finale. So we will see you guys on December 9th for our next podcast. Happy Thanksgiving. Hope you all have fun. And we'll see y'all soon, guys.
Happy Thanksgiving! I love you guys.
Bye.
Have some turkey.